Good morning, everyone. And yes, it is still morning. We're getting in just before the 12 o'clock hour. It is Monday Mindset. Obviously, we've got obviously just started talking about some breaking news that I didn't know about. But anyways, good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Nani live on this Monday after Easter with two
Sisters. Hey everyone, good morning. This is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. A lot of breaking news. And obviously with having family in law enforcement, obviously having even people that we don't know who have been affected by what is happening in the world today is it's kind of weighing heavy on my heart right at this moment. I'm not gonna lie. It hasn't deterred me from my mindset. However, I will say it does bring up a lot of emotions, and sometimes I know what to say, but it's hard for me to say it. So I'm just going to come out and say it. No matter what your position is on a certain subjects regarding gun control or whatever it may be, it is the person behind the weapon is the one that wreaks the havoc. And that's all that I really want to say about that.
Well, and interesting enough, obviously I didn't know about it. Had an appointment, and Jan was the one who actually told me about it. And what still bothers me about these situations, obviously, is people rushing to judgment and the name calling and the blame this one, blame that one. You definitely need accountability, but we're again, it goes back to, when you hear this stuff, everyone's got to chime in. They don't even really know all the facts and the details. But the one reoccurring fact that is not talked about enough is mental illness. Mm-hmm. And for anyone to do any kind of mass quantity, even one life, and anyone thinks that it's normal behavior for someone to legally obtain and or not legally obtain a weapon and go into a place of business, a home, a church, someone's house, and think that it's, we talk about, on the uptake, it's on the uptake. It's happening all the time now. And the subject of mental illness is still never talked about. I'm so frustrated with that piece because obviously these people that are doing these things have got mental issues. No, of course they should never own a weapon. But at the same token, at least one of these past shootings, one of the recent ones, this person was seeking psychiatric help. So that tells you that we as a society are not doing our due diligence to be on the lookout with people that have issues. We're not born, I'm going to be a mass shooter. That's what I'm aiming to be. Or I'm aiming to be a drug addict or an alcoholic or an overeater or, a rapist or, all these things that these individuals are disturbed with is mental illness. Nobody asks the hard question, the signs come after the fact. How about let's try to get the signs before it happens? And speaking up, speaking out, in addition to not always knowing what your loved one is really up to, because they, are they, hibernating in their room? Are they not being social? Are they kind of socially awkward? Are they in this disconnect mode? And part of the issue is they didn't start out their life like that. And no one understood the value of getting that person help. The person themselves might not have understood the value of getting help. And then let's add salt to the wound that it's impossible for people with mental illness sometimes to get help. because you're on a wait list. No, that doctor can't see you. We're not taking any more patients. Call us back in 3 months. Oh, you don't have insurance? Well, that sucks to be you. Or, just like going to any kind of profession and or dealing with a business, you got to find the right fit. Maybe not all psychologists are the right fit. Maybe not all psychiatric treatment is the same. Everyone is different. But the fact that you have to jump through hoops and, go out of your way, and, you're put on hold, you don't know whether you're talking to somebody from the United States, trying to get help we've got to do a better job at this. Definitely. And I blame this specifically on the medical community, on the insurance companies that really have hijacked people getting the necessary help that they need this is approved, that's not approved. Oh, that doctor is not under our coverage. Or, there's no one in your network. Like, we've got to do better, people. We have to do better in the medical community, and I blame the insurance companies for making it so difficult. I blame the whole industry as a whole, the medical industry as a whole, along with the insurance companies, that we're not doing enough for those that suffer from mental illness. And then the fact that people are just too darn afraid to speak out. Like, if you see someone that's acting weird, or you personally know a friend that all of a sudden they're I don't want to say that their personalities change, but you've noticed some changes in them, and they're not socializing with you anymore. They're, like I said, like they're hijacked, held hostage by themselves in their own room, or they're loners. Frequently, a lot of these people were picked on as children, and not to say, everyone gets picked on. It doesn't become a mass murderer. But some people can handle it and some people can't. Maybe they had other underlying situations going on. But the point being is, we have to be more in tune to the people that are around our surrounding. And if you see stuff, then say something, even if it's to their loved ones. Hey, FYI, this person, he's been acting a little strange lately. I know he lost their job, or she lost, a child, or whatever the circumstances may be. And I think people they want to. We don't want to get involved. We don't want to speak out because we're too afraid, of stepping on someone's toes. If it's a matter of life and death, step on the damn toes. I don't care whether, your friend may get pissy at you because you said, the brother's acting a little cuckoo. The point being, as a whole with humanity, we've got to do better, because these people don't want to do what they're doing. Now, while they may be very well calculated and whatever, they weren't born that way. And yeah, I guess that you could say some people were born with an evil streak. I suppose that's true. But at the end of the day, most of these people, once they, have done their horrific acts, and now they start doing some research, find out that these people were suffering from mental illness. And I'm not saying just because you figure it out, that may not prevent something from happening, but at least try to get them some help. And I don't think we do enough of that. I think we're just too worried what someone might say if we speak up. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing with that too. Yes, more people absolutely have to speak up. And what is the worst possible scenario of someone speaking up, that they get pissed at them or whatever the case may be? Well, I would rather somebody be ticked off at me than something bad really happening. Like, enough is enough. And I think too, with everything going on in the world today, and obviously we are not mental health care providers. We cannot give you medical advice. This is from our own, perspectives. It has to come from a place, for instance, like if you need to talk to, let's say, a loved one about something that is bothering you, and you see something within them that, really is concerning, even though you may be put off by the person having this conversation with you, like that shows that they have enough love and enough care for you, and that they may be scared shitless, but they're going to have that conversation with you. And I think we just kind of need to maybe not hit the pause button, but really look at a situation with love and compassion. You see someone that is, as Carol Sue, as you said, that's hibernating in their room which is some reports that I've heard from what happened in Nashville last week. The subject of the parents keeps coming up. And again, we don't know all the details, but and there is too much with the mental health and how people's perception of when they hear this news, especially if you are that troubled person. It's heart-wrenching, and it's very baffling. And as a society, we've got to do better. We've got to do better.
We do. And one of the reporters on one of the, networks of reporting news said the same thing last week. He said we overstimulate the audience with these, stories. And he said, look, it's one thing you report the news, and then obviously you got to wait for the facts. But because the news networks end up talking about it all day long, it's also sending that signal out to those people that are suffering, and they may be contemplating something horrific like what is occurring, to also go for it. So how do you tackle that? You want to make sure that the public is aware of what's going on. And what he was saying was the news cycles just they dive in, and it's all day coverage, and it's good for no one. It entices that person that is severely ill to maybe get the courage to go ahead and do something horrible like that, what they're talking about. But it also desensitizes, because when you think about it, when you hear something over and over and over again, you become numb to it, right? And someone's knocking at my door. Hold on. So this is the fun stuff when you do a live podcast. I'm like, who is knocking at the door?
Go away, Johnny.
Who's that knocking on? That's what I thought it would be, but let me see. It's probably somebody else. No, see, hold on one second. I'm going to let you take that over.
Okay.
John's not in the door. Hi, how are you? I've got somebody coming to pick up something. Give me seconds. But continue what you were saying about what we're talking about with the news and all of that.
Well, yeah, because I love.
Hold on one second. I'm going to go on mute for 1 second.
Okay. There we go. The beauty of live podcasting. I had a conversation with someone probably about a year or two ago, and we were chatting about this very subject about breaking news, right, and the alerts that we get. And this person said to me, do you remember when, a couple of years ago, you maybe, and maybe it was dinner time and you had the news channel on, you're sitting together at the dinner table, and then you specifically, there was a very specific tone for the different local channels. For instance, in this area, we have Channel 8, WTNH, and of course, Channel 3, WFSB. And each of those stations had a different ringtone or alert tone, whatever you want to call it. And as I turned on, I have a couple different computers. And as I turned on my other laptop here, I'm like, oh, let me just go on quickly, see what's happening. No sooner turned it on, that I get that alert, that a certain
Right.
news station plays. So I'm like, okay, now immediately I'm kind of tuned in. I'm working at my desk here, doing my thing. And then I hear the report is obviously about the shooting that just took place in I believe it was Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky, yeah. And I think that's, we're so used to, whatever the chime is, and then you're running. But at the same time, back in the day, you didn't get them often. So whatever came about, you like sat and listened to. Now we're so used to it, because it's coming through your computer, it's coming through your cell phone, it's coming through, if you got your television on, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. And while some of these warrant that, it's that anxiety, especially, I can only imagine that someone is suffering from mental illness, that may be contemplating doing something horrible like these other people have done. And I'm not condoning, I'm not using mental illness as an excuse for these individuals. But the point being, if you don't, like, when in the world did we have mass shooters all the time? And any time in our time in history, can we recall that, it was like one after another. So because it's never happened in years, however long it's been, 20 years, and they usually are coupled by like what happens, and then a few happen after that, and then there's a little break, and then the cycle starts again. The common denominator for most is, not all, but I would say pretty much all of them have had some sort of mental issue. So you don't hear anything breaking news about, we've opened up a clinic, and we're doing our own due diligence of getting people help and making it easier so people are not jumping through hoops to get through help. And we've got all these hotlines set up. We've done good in other areas, but mental illness seems to be the one that's so behind the eight ball with getting help. And I, we know that within our own family, that, and not everyone that suffers mental illness is going to go out and do what these people do. We know that. But the bottom line is, there's too many people that are suffering from depression, anxiety, stress. They have some specific mental, I don't want to really condition. I'm not going to use the word disease, condition. What are we doing for them? You got the American Cancer Society, you've got, all these different societies and associations that help in all areas of health and wellness, and mental illness and suicide, 800 hotlines. I mean, that's all we get. So I think we're not getting to the root of why this is happening. And these are not like normal people that don't have severe issues going on, whether it's the stress level, maybe they lost their job and they were at the breaking point. Yes, you do have those kind of cases where they don't necessarily have a history of mental illness. They just snapped, but that you can't blame that for all of them.
That is
It's just mind-boggling to me. Yeah, you have those rare cases where somebody just flipped a switch. It does happen, but that's not the case with all of these, especially with the younger perpetrators.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the case. They suffer from mental conditions, issues that need help, whether they be under psychiatric care or even admitted into a hospital where they can deal with these things. So we're not talking about the breaking alerts of who was on the other end of what happened. and the tragedy that it trickles down to, the families, and then the extended family and the communities. Like, we don't even have time to breathe or heal before there's the next one.
I know it's heart-wrenching. And somebody mentioned, it's prayers and everything and heartfelt sympathies, but there has to be something else in the interim to help with this issue. I don't know what that is.
Now, when everyone, keeps going to their go-to, well, gun control, that has nothing to do with the person's mindset, people. Sorry. If somebody wants to get something, they will. If they're that desperate, they will do it. Let's get to the root of why they are, how they are, what happened to them, where do they need help? Do they need to be admitted? Is there a history of underlying issues? And stop blaming it, because that's the narrative. That's the go-to. This is the reason why, blah, blah, blah. People shouldn't have a weapon until they're 21. Well, you know what? A car is a weapon. People get
Absolutely.
to license.
Did you hear it?
So you can't keep blaming it on that stuff.
Did you hear the sheriff from I forgot what county, I believe it's Alachua, in Ocala, Florida, where the murder of the 3 young people,
Teenagers. Yep, teenagers.
And he said it absolutely best. He said it from a law enforcement point of view, as a parent himself, as a father, as a concerned citizen. And obviously I'm going to paraphrase it, but basically what he said was no gun law would have absolutely not changed what transpired.
Correct. And that's generally the case. Because if somebody wants to do something, they don't necessarily need, a gun. They can get a knife, they can get a hammer, they could, they could be throwing freaking steak knives. I mean, you just don't know. But the bottom line is we're still not getting to the root of the problem, which is mental illness. And at some point, communities need to understand that if you have a family and they're dealing with a child that has severe mental illness, and you feel like there's nothing being done, or you want to alert, someone to say, hey, I'm not really sure what's going on, but, I've noticed him or her doing A, B, and C. You have to get involved, because it may be the difference between you feeling uncomfortable, feeling like, oh, I'm getting involved and stepping on a family's toes that I don't want to do, but you may be saving someone's life. Like, I don't understand why people don't realize. And I'm not saying, you're going to get a few that human nature, somebody's just possibly what they're saying is not even warranted. That's the good with the bad. You have to take that. But at the end of the day, if it helps prevent another tragedy, just do it. And if you're that concerned, I'm sure there are a lot of police departments that would even take it anonymous or, anonymously, where you'd go in and say, look, I don't want my name mentioned, but there's this family and they've got this child, and I really, think there's something wrong. My kid goes to school with them, there's talk around the street, whatever it may be, but we got to get the work out there to help them, because they weren't born to kill. They weren't born to do these horrific acts. And I'm not saying, yes, you got maybe a tiny, tiny fraction of this world that are just, this version of what they could be. But a lot of times it's circumstances that are even out of their control. Could be a chemical imbalance. I mean, we're not medical professionals, so we don't know the answer to that either. We're just saying, at some point, we've got to decide that we're going to get involved, because the risk is too great. The risk is too great for this to happen again. It's just sad.
It is. The risk is definitely too great. And on that note, Mindset Monday may have derailed me a tad. However,
Right.
if you're sitting at your desk right now, or when you listen to this and you're kind of going over what we chatted about, our mindset affects everything. And take that step back, pause, turn your shit off if you need to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, it is Monday Mindset. Regroup, vent it, get it out of your system, and then think positive of what you can do. Maybe even if it means, sometimes, just being busy, find out in your own community what you can do to help. If you're feeling like, that's one of the things that I'm going to look at. I'm going to see about what is the protocols. Where could, somebody, we're in the community, they might need help. Maybe they don't have enough people to do certain things with those that are suffering. And just check, see what could you add that will add value. Even if it's like a community gathering to say, hey, we're going to come together, and maybe you do it by, schools or Navy, and say, look, we want to make sure that we're there to help people and to let them know if they need help. Some people maybe they don't have a way to get to a doctor. Is that part of the problem? Do they have, are there not enough counselors, in certain areas of, the medical industry and or maybe in the churches? Hey, we've got 2 psychiatrists that are going to come in, hang out at the church, from 10 to 12. If you've got something on your mind, you're stressed out about life, you're stressed about what's going on in your own personal life, come in free of charge or make a donation to the church. I'm going to give up my services. There's creative ways that people can really impact and really brainstorm. So maybe it's just a matter of talking with some community leaders and saying, what can we do for those that suffer from mental illness within our own community? What can we contribute? What can we do? And just get the conversation started. That's the start.
Absolutely, it is. And on that note, we wish you a happy Mindset Monday. Tomorrow we'll be on at 11 a.m. with our guest, Dr. Gina Locke. You don't want to miss this episode. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I am with Two
Sisters, and it's Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, hopping off of this podcast and about to get on a Zoom. So we wish you all a great, fantastic Monday. Do it with a positive mindset. Do it with intention. And when you do it with intention and passionate about anything that you love, gosh, and sprinkle some kindness to it, you'll be amazed at how far your day goes with positivity. But that we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.